Hi everybody, this is Professor West. Welcome back. In this video we're going to still be working with Alice, and I'm going to show you how to add some objects onto the screen and how you can manipulate them and so forth. So if you haven't already, pull it up and jump in and do it with me. First thing we're going to do is go to the scene setup. I just have the green grass right now, and we're going to go to scene setup. This is going to let us choose what objects we want to add and what we want to do with them. So let's say I decide I want a biped, a humanoid. If I click on it, there's a whole bunch of different options. There's an elder, adult, teen, child, toddler. Some of these will have more than one option available with them as well. Maybe colors or different things. So I'm just going to pick this little alien guy or girl. And I'm going to click on it. And when it comes up, it lets me name it. Now, if I only am going to have one on the screen, calling it alien is pretty good. But what if I'm going to have 3 or 4 or 5 or 20 of them? Naming them Alien 1 and Alien 2, that could get really confusing. So, give it some kind of a name that's meaningful, that you'll know exactly which one this one is. So, like I said, since I'm only going to have one, I'm just going to leave it named Alien for now. And I'm going to click OK. Now it's on the screen. And it puts it in the middle by default. Notice that it goes way back. I can put it way back there or over here, whatever. To do so, you can click on it and just drag it wherever you want it. If I move up, see, it goes way off into the background there. And if I move a little forward, it comes up here. However I want to do it, it's totally up to me because this is mine. You would do the same. You can do it however you want. Another method for putting one on the screen is to, let me find one that I want. Let's say I want this Cheshire cat. I could simply grab it and drag it onto the screen. And see how it puts this box? That lets me know how big it's going to be. And the further back I go, the smaller it gets. So if I wanted it over here maybe, I'd just drop it there. And it's still going to give me the same thing. Do I want... this one has 2 different options. I can do this one, which is just the smile. From, if you know the story of Alice in Wonderland, you know that the cat sometimes disappears and only his smile remains. Or I can pick the actual cat. I'm going to click the cat, and it's going to ask me if I want to name it. I'm just going to leave that name for now. And there's another thing that I could do if I wanted to put multiple copies. Like, let's say I want to put more than one of the Cheshire cats on there. I could make sure he's selected and hold down. Now if you're using Windows, it's Alt, hold down the Alt key and click on it and then drag it, and that puts a second one. See how it puts a 2 at the end of its name. If you're using a Mac or an Apple, you would do Control and click on it also. Some of these commands will be a little different for one than the other. And so now if I decide, oh, I don't want him after all, I could right click and just tell it to delete that one. Okay, so notice something else here. When I put both of these on here, when I put the alien on here, the alien appeared in what's called the object tree. This is a tree of objects. And each one, if I put something on the alien, then it would come off there. Otherwise, these are all going to be the same level. Notice when I click on the Cheshire cat, that one's lit up. So those are the 2 objects right here on the object tree. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about orienting your objects. Orienting means tell them how they're going to face and be set up. If I click on this little alien and I start to drag it, notice how you see the white arrow coming towards me? The red arrow is going to my left, which is actually this character's right. That tells me, let me click on it again. That tells me that if I tell my character to move to the right, it's going to move this way. If I tell it to move forward, it's going to move this way. When you click on it again and you get this little greenish yellow circle going around it, that lets you pick the direction that he's in. So I can turn it. And now you can see that there's a blue arrow going backwards. So right now, if I tell my character, if I give it the command to move to the right, it will move to this character's right, which would actually be down. According to this, the red arrow points down this way. So if I tell it to move to the right, it would move this way. If I tell it to move forward, it would move this way. This can be a little confusing sometimes, because if you want it to come down, a lot of people try to just say move this direction, but it depends totally on which way your character's facing. Okay, let's pause right there for a second, and let's take a look up here in this pane. Notice right now it's on default, but I could click rotation and see how it gives me more rotational options than it did before. This one is going to go rotating up and down. So if I want him to lay face down, I can do it like that. If I want him to lay on his back, I can do it like that. The white one is going to rotate him left and right. And the red one would then let me circle. So let's do that again. Now you can see a little better. Well, it's not an exact science. Sometimes when you grab where you think you should grab, it doesn't count it. That's okay. So, and then of course the white one. So right now I've got it leaning forward a little bit. And slightly to the right. So that's just how I'm doing it. And then the move one will let me move it still. And resize would let me resize it. I'm not going to probably make it too much of a resize, but I just clicked on it and drug down a little and it made it smaller. But notice before when it got smaller it had to be back further. Now it's just changing the actual size of it. And of course you can always go back to default. Let's see, there's some other stuff here that's interesting. There's the one shot. If you click on one shot and come down to procedure, it gives you a lot of different commands that you could choose. So for example, if I come to the turn, it's on this dot alien, which is my little green alien, because his name's alien, and it says turn, question mark, question mark, question mark, and then a comma and equal sign and a number. So I would fill in both of those blanks right here. If I tell it turn right, and then see how I have all these options? 1 is one full circle. So 0.5 would be a half of a circle. So if he's facing forward, that would make him face backwards. 0.25 would be a quarter of a circle. So if I choose 0.25 right now, see how it turned a quarter of a circle? Because he was kind of facing this way, now it's kind of facing that way. You can also do the procedures by right-clicking on your object. So if I right-click, there it is, procedures, and it's exactly the same. I could tell it anything I want. If I wanted to turn, maybe I want to turn left this time, and I want to go back where it was. So you have a lot of options here. Something else you could do, I could go to procedures, and I could come down to move and orient to. Now orient means face that direction. So move to and orient to, and if I come over here and I say the Cheshire Cat, now my alien is going to move and orient the same as the Cheshire Cat. So they're in the same spot, and now they're the same. I could also tell it, let's see, turn to face. And I could tell it, turn to face the Cheshire Cat. Now it's going to turn and face him. There's a lot of different stuff you can do here. These are actually pretty powerful. There's a lot of different ways that you can have things happen. So let me just point out a couple more things real quick, and then I'll move on to the next video. Up here at the very top, you may notice these. There's the undo button and the redo button. Undo undoes the last command, and then the command before that, and then the command before that, just like it did in Microsoft Word, just like it did in Excel. redo command undoes the undo. Now, just like in all of those, if you have a Windows computer, if you do Control Z, it would also do the undo. That means hold down the control button, CTRL, which is the very left button on your keyboard, and you press Z while you're holding it down. It would undo it. Control Z. And Control Z again would undo the next thing. And Control Y would have the opposite effect. It would redo it. Same as pressing the redo button. If you're on a Mac, it's the command button, CMD. So it's Command Z to undo and Command Y to redo. So now that you have some characters set up, in the next one we'll do some more stuff with it. Hope you're enjoying it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.